If someone asks you to guess this version of the Surface Pro lineup, you'd have a choice from Surface Pro 4 at the very earliest. Microsoft played it safe with this one, unlike the Surface Pro 8, where the screen is bigger, but we'll get onto that one later. I have the base model with an 11th gen i5 processor, 8GB of RAM, and 128GB of SSD storage. I upgraded the machine to Windows 11 and it is working fantastically, probably because the updates are so well optimized, seeing as the machine is straight from Microsoft themselves. I'm still hearing of other machines from other manufacturers where they're just shutting down or there's other problems with them. Anyway, the SSD is swappable, so you can install a larger size, although I found it's an obscure size that isn't easily available. The biggest feature for me though is a micro SD slot, which the Surface Pro 8 gets rid of. It's crazy, and it's the reason why I didn't really go for it. Now, being able to expand the memory like this is absolutely awesome. Obviously the speeds aren't going to match an SSD, but if you wanted to pop some Steam games on it, that would still work. Battery life is an alleged 15 hours, but I get 6 to 7 hours, so nothing more to add to that really. All manufacturers claim a higher battery count than there actually is. It's got a USB-C charging port on the side, which is not Thunderbolt. It's got a legacy USB-A port, which is really great on the side. I will end up using it a couple of times. It's got its own proprietary charging port, which is fine. I'm not too fussed about that. It'd be nicer if it was a USB-C charging port, to be honest. Obviously, because it's so thin as well, it's not going to have more ports on there. So if you want to convert to HDMI or anything, you're going to have to use adapters or dongles. Now, the screen is 12.3 inches and the resolution is very similar to Retina display on the MacBook. So it's not quite 4K, but it's way more than 2K, and the PPI is at a decent 267. Keyboard is great to type on. Reminds me a bit of Apple's keyboard, but I wouldn't say it was as good. Now, the keyboard cover comes off quite easily, and then you can use the Surface Pro 7 Plus in tablet mode. Now, exactly the same as the Surface Pro 7, it's usable in tablet mode. If I didn't have my iPad Pro, then I would be quite happy using this in the tablet mode. It actually does work. Now, it is a bit heavy to maneuver or adjust or turn around in your hand, so if you're in the bed or on the sofa, it might be a bit tricky, but it is very, very light. The keyboard attachment is too expensive. Really, they should be throwing this in with the tablet, but when you do use it, the trackpad's reminiscent of the Magic Keyboard, and the magnets at the bottom of the Surface Pro fit quite nicely. Now, it is a fanless model, which is just great. So if you decide that you want to push it with games, it will heat up. I've seen a couple of users on YouTube literally game with it, plug it in, and then point a fan towards the back, which would cool temperatures down, but I'm not that desperate to game on it. It can run a few of my old Steam games without severely heating up. I'm not comfortable with CPU temps reaching anywhere near 100 degrees. I believe that should be illegal because that's going to do damage to the chip, but that's what will happen. If you game, it will reach 90 degrees to 100 degrees. So how does it compare to the MacBook Air M1? I feel you can't really compare these laptops. You've got one that's Mac OS, you've got one that's Windows, one's from Microsoft, one's from Apple. The typing experience is obviously much better on the MacBook Air. This one still sort of wobbles as you type. Portability is just fantastic with the Microsoft Surface Pro 7 Plus because you can just put it in tablet mode. But then this is quite good to carry around as well. They're both fanless. The M1 blows the i5 chip out of the water completely. But then you've got Windows on it and it's got a whole range of software packages if you need to run on it. It's got Steam, it's got games, which is a huge plus for me as well. Which one would I want to take with me? I've already made a video about the screen on the MacBook Air M1. I would be scared to take it out in case the screen cracks and that's it. Now, this has got a glass screen, but it's designed for being touched. I don't know if it's Gorilla Glass or something, but it would still shatter as well. This is a lot lighter to pick up in tablet mode, and surprisingly, it's actually okay to use in tablet mode. Compared to the iPad, obviously, the iPad is a better tablet, but I can see Apple going down that route shortly. Trackpad on the MacBook Air is simply the best. It's just, there's no comparison about that. Battery life is amazing on here. I'll probably get 6 to 7 hours on this one. Obviously, you go a bit higher on the MacBook Air M1, but you can't compare them. I mean, if you had a choice, it's really down to which OS you're going to use more. If you have no loyalties at all, I would go with the MacBook Air M1. But I like Windows, and I've got a history with Windows, and I've got stuff that work on Windows. And I just want to take it around, and to have a full-blown OS on the tablet is brilliant. The multitasking is where it really wins for me. I mean, if you were going somewhere, which one of these could you throw into a bag and not worried about being damaged? From what I can tell and the research I've done, the Microsoft Surface Pro is probably a bit better because the screen is made out of some sort of Gorilla Glass. We all know about the screen on this one, but then again, it's obviously got tough metal chassis, which will take a few dents. But which one would you be safer throwing in your bag? I'd be safer throwing, well, the Surface Pro in my bag, really. This one hasn't left the house at all, which I know is quite bad. It does go into different rooms now. I did say before it didn't, but yeah, I'd be more comfortable traveling with this one. And that's my review. Let me know what you think in the comments below, like and subscribe, and until next time.